What up everyone, True Blue here, and I am recovering from being sick, so sorry if I sound a little off today. Now, I've done in the past, turning Kamen Rider into Pokemon, turning Yokai Watch into Pokemon, but there's so many just things I like, specifically video games, and like their franchises, their mascots, so I took some of my favorites and made them into Pokemon. Now, I want to preface that this is an interesting batch of designs, because I think half of them are good, and the other half are creatures, to say the least. So I initially was just going to kind of scrap some of these, keep them locked in the file folder, not show them, but then I was told, show them anyway, and just have fun with it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to try a few other things, and you'll see what I mean throughout the video, but I will be going in my opinion, the best to the worst design, and you guys can all let me know how you feel about these in the comments. I love your feedback, of course. And on top of that, let me know what other stuff to actually do, since this is all over the place. There's no real theme besides just video games, so if you want more specific ones on any of these franchises in particular, let me know. Now, back when Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was still in the whole, not leak era, but like just announcement era, I remember so many people memeing on Armarouge. Armarouge, phenomenal Pokemon, I think it's really sick. People memed on it because of its ability to turn its shoulders into a Mega Man-esque cannon. I think you see where I'm going with this. I took Mega Man, iconic character by Capcom, who, let's be honest, Capcom just hates with every fiber of their being. I decided to take Mega Man and give him the life and love he deserves, because I actually really like Mega Man. I did take Armarouge, mix it with Mega Man, and I present to you Mega Rouge. Now, this is by far my favorite one that I've done for this episode, because it's quite literally what people said. The shoulders are like Mega Man's arm cannon. I took the shoulders and made Mega Man's arm cannon. There you go. It's not some crazy idea. It's what people were talking about for months leading up to the game, and I just kind of worked with that. I did also try reducing the armor a ton, so it's not as bulky and prevalent, because Mega Man, while he's robot with the metal coating, it's not necessarily like supposed to be this big bulky armor, because it's kind of like melded into him. It's weird, so it's hard to have that be such a prominent thing. So I did reduce it a ton. I did keep the collar piece. I thought it looked really nice on the design, and on top of that, Mega Man can obviously, you can put, his hands in, shift them into the guns, or, get weapons and stuff. I like to think maybe you could do that with his head. Overall, the color scheme is just, the Mega Man blues. Overall, I do think it's a really nice design. Mega Man being humanoid was interesting task to work with, so thank God Armarouge had, human proportions with humanoid Pokemon. I also love the eye being blue now. It really pierces the design, because all the dark blue surrounding it. And Mega Man, he has his eye color tends to shift, I feel, between various shades of his blues. It's not really consistent, I feel, especially in older artwork. I feel like it shifts a bit. But this is my Mega Man. It's not too crazy, because Mega Man's design just, again, it's a lot of blues. It's a robot. But I do think it came out really good, and I'm really happy about how this one turned out. This is the first one, so of course this was the one I told you I like the most. If you guys think this is bad, now in the Pokemon world, Mega Rouge here is a cold Pokemon. This Pokemon hunts others for their abilities, taking anything it can and gaining stronger with each victim that befalls it. On top of that, it is a pure steel type, making it very durable to most things that it comes up against. Its main moves, you might find on one of them, is Flash Cannon, Mega Punch, Charge Beam, and Sketch. Obviously, Mega Punch has Mega in it, and I felt it was necessary. Flash Cannon, of obviously his gun. Charge Beam, because he literally has one. And then Sketch mimics his ability to copy his fallen opponents at the end of all of, his battles. So that's Mega Rouge. There's really not much more to say. You will notice, compared to my other ones, I removed abilities. I thought that was kind of extra, and I don't want to spend too much time digging into what these theoretical Pokemon could be anymore, because I realized, well, you guys can have fun with that, as it said. There's only so much I can say besides just kind of recapping the character, and it's I'll put my own spin on it instead. Moving right along. In the wide worlds of indie horror, not many things have taken the world by storm. And then Five Nights at Freddy's came along. Five Nights at Freddy's is the game. It is one of the games of all time. And Freddy Fazbear is iconic. Who doesn't love Freddy Fazbear? Everyone else is a, like, AAA kind of name. Funny enough, they're all, I didn't realize until after, they all are in Smash, technically. Freddy Fazbear is not yet. It'd be funny. But I wanted to give some love to Freddy Fazbear, because clearly he doesn't have enough of that. And for one, what was my kind of reference? Because Freddy's had so many designs. I went with classic. Classic, not withered, not glam rock, none of the others, none of the updates on the changes. I'm going classic OG FNAF 1 Freddy. That is what I'm working with, and I'm not touching Golden Freddy or any of that. It is just purely that classic Freddy design. Pokemon actually gave us a ton of bears throughout the years. At first, I originally was going to do Beware because it's like the big, it looks cute, but it's actually like the mean, scary one. Or Beartic because it's menacing. But then I realized we literally have a brown bear Pokemon, that being Ursaring. It's not like specifically brown bear, but like close enough. So I'll put those off to the side and I give you Ursati. It's an interesting name, but we're going with that. So you'll notice for one, all the extra line work. My thing is, because here's one thing about OG Freddy, design-wise. Because throughout FNAF, they really incorporate the fact that these are animatronics in various ways. Classic, I felt, did a really good job at many angles, hiding that fact with the exception of the ears. You could see the clear rods that were holding up the ears, but I feel like everything else, it was just lines. From a lot of angles, you couldn't really see the inner workings, I felt. Especially in those classic games, because they didn't move a lot. So I wanted to keep that here with just kind of panel lining. The idea is, it looks as if it can come apart. It looks as if it can split, because it can. There is metal workings underneath. That's the idea. But it's not really visible to the naked eye. All you really see is those ear joints. Everything else is just line work. And I did try mimicking Freddy's a bit, but just adjusting the proportions to fit on Ursaring better. Color-wise, I did darken it. Freddy, I know in old artwork shifts a lot, but I feel like a lot of people, at least in the fans, have this idea of him being this more darker brown, so that's what I went with. On top of that, I kept the claws. Obviously, I still want to make them organic in some sort of way. Now, obviously, focusing on the robot too much is kind of taking that away. So I kept the claws to make it feel a bit more natural, but I did remove the pupils. The eyes are just this menacing void. And obviously, Freddy does have eyes. Some animatronics don't, some animatronics do. I wanted this one to just be menacing. You don't know what you're looking at there, right? There's nothing behind those eyes. Is there a soul? We don't know. It's just a theory. Gave him his bushy eyebrows, of course. His little, like, I don't know if there's, like, freckles, but, like, on his face. His little hat, of course. And then his microphone hand. What I did was the claws would theoretically be grabbing it. And he's holding this thing that he uses like a microphone. It looks like a microphone. It's Jigglypuff's microphone, funny enough. Obviously, in universe, they're not supposed to be able to really move those parts of them. Or they're not supposed to. So I like the idea of maybe that's kind of... His hand is always just like that. He has the claws on that hand, but they just do nothing. The weird thing is Freddy being such an iconic design, you realize when you kind of strip away the fact that you're trying to make it this big, bulky robot, you realize it is just a bear. So it wasn't necessarily a lot of work, but I do really like how this came out, and I do think it's a very interesting take. It's sort of refreshing because it's so simple. And that's what FNAF 1 is, in retrospect. So I do like how it came out. Hello, Ursati here. And this Pokemon is a very quiet Pokemon. This Pokemon doesn't move a lot. It's very stationary. It's said to be formed of old scrap metal laid around from old pieces of robots that scientists discarded. The lingering spirits of potential victims of those scientists or their angered will seemingly possessed them to take over and become this new Pokemon. It's very protective of smaller, childlike Pokemon, but anything around its size or bigger, no one knows what happens after they encounter one. Of course, it's a Ghost Steel type, with the moves Crunch, Nightmare, Perish Song, and Brutal Swing. Crunch because that's his thing. Nightmare because there's Nightmare animatronics. It's a Nightmare, reference. Perish Song because it's a music attack, and Perishing is dying, which Freddy's good at. And then Brutal Swing because I wanted something that just sounded scary. And Brutal Swing sounds very scary. You know, Pacman? Iconic. Not that design. Nope, not that design. This design. Iconic. Yes, I'm not kidding you. This is what I had to work with. I don't know why I decided this is what I wanted to work with, but this is what I have to work with. So Pacman, who is the video game mascot, he is the OG video game mascot, historically speaking. And I wanted to, of course, give him some time in the spotlight. And then I realized that I could either do his other designs, or I could be funny and do the pizza slice. Or missing pizza slice, Pacman. And then I realized, how the heck do I get around this? So I found a Pokemon with just a circular head. His name is Orform. He's a friend. I decapitated him, and here's Pacworm. This is every 3D attempt at Pacman I've ever seen, but with just a Pokemon head. He's a creature. I love him. I don't want to, be like, oh, it's my creature. I made it. But, I love him. He's just yellow. That's it. There's not much more to say. Pacman is the epitome of simple design. So Pacworm is yellow. He has eyes, like later iterations. But, yeah. Pacworm. In universe, Pacworm, iconic Pokemon. Iconic. Everyone who sees Pacworm, they fall in love immediately. In reality, Pacworm is just a gluttonous void. Pacworm eats everything with seemingly no stopping it. It's even out-eaten Snorlaxes, which is terrifying. It is the dark type, kills ghosts. That's what it's good at. With Crunch, of course, Automize to reflect when it's eating a Power Pellet, Recycle because God knows what's happening to the food when he eats it, and Roar of Time because he's so old, I like to think he's just mastered that. We're not questioning it. There's so little to work with classic Pacman. I really should have done the other iterations. And if you want to see me try stitching limbs to this thing and calling it the later iterations where it has limbs, because I genuinely feel like that'd be the funniest thing I can make, let me know, because I definitely will do that on my own time. Okay, you guys gotta do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, because as of right now, I have done 3 Sonic videos in my life. Every single one's performed very well. Sonic is going to be mentioned. Okay, the next person we're doing is Sonic. And because of that, I need you guys to keep that tradition alive and make sure Sonic continues to, for some reason, do really good on my channel. Anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog, what more do I need to say? I mean, his 3rd movie is coming out in 2-3 weeks. I will be seeing it opening night, don't worry. And a lot of people have obviously used Shaman to make Sonic and Pokemon. Shaman is Hedgehog. Sonic is a hedgehog, of course. Boom. I didn't like that. My thing is Sonic is hedgehog in name, not in looks. None of the Sonic cast really looks like they're animals besides their heads at best. And that's just the truth of their design nature, being these humanoid animals, of course. So I did not want to use Shaman. I wanted to take something else because Sonic is more than a hedgehog. So I looked for kind of hedgehog adjacent Pokemon, humanoidish, at least had limbs. So I found Sandslash. I don't know if Sandslash is hedgehog or adjacent, but I'm not gonna look into the origins of Sandslash. I don't care, but works great for what I need. Using Sandslash as a base, I kind of had to strip him down to the most bare parts of him, and then kind of just stitch together what I could for Sonic. And thanks to Sandslash having SA as the start of his name, I could name this Pokemon Sanic. So here's Sanic. He's somehow really cute when you focus on his face. So Sanic here is Sandslash. What if the quills were mostly gone, and then his head quills went down like Sonic's? His hands are actually the exact same. I did not touch the hands, I just removed the claws. And the undertow, his fleshy skin color, that's just Sandslash. I didn't actually have to change that. I left that as is, and it worked out surprisingly well. I also gave made the tail a lot smaller, but the main thing for me was obviously the legs and the feet. Sonic, he's Super Sonic Hedgehog. He has to have the shoes, he's got to run fast. So I took just a cartoony Pokemon's feet. I believe this was Hitmonchan. Did some witchcraft to make it just this red And he has these big, comically large shoes now. They are his feet, but they look like shoes. And I like to think that his whole leg, this massive thigh, all muscle from running. It's not just some thick thigh. That is pure running, baby. And that's Sonic. I would say it was a lot of work, but once I got all of like the back quills of Sandslash removed, because the claws weren't too bad because they're not like connected or overlapping anything really, so they weren't too bad to do. But once the quills were gone, it kind of just fell into place, really. I did try making the face rounder. He still has this kind of like chin, which I think is really funny. But he has a simple mouth, little nose. I feel like if Sonic was a Pokemon, he would be drawn cutesy. He would be, very cuddly, which I think is why a lot of people end up going towards Shaman anyway, because they're kind of like, oh, well, he would end up being a cute Pokemon if they like try doing something like crossover or something. So I think having Sonic be this kind of mix of those two ideas of that cute and cool works out really well for what he's about, of course. So I'm very happy with this. Even though it definitely is not the best of my work, I am very happy with how it turned out. This Pokemon's a very much trickster, parkourist, always moving around, super fast. It's one of the fastest Pokemon you'll ever find. And on top of that, it is very hard to find. Sightings of it are very rare, as it's basically always on the move, and it's very uncommon to find more than one in the same place. Going off of Movie Sonic, actually, I made this an electric type. Electric's not only just a fast type, but because of like the nature of Movie Sonic and that kind of slowly incorporating itself into the games, I felt electric would work. For moves, extreme speed, zippy zap, low sweep, and roll out. First two are just kind of speed moves. Makes sense. Sonic fighting wise only really uses his legs because he's not physically no upper body strength on this guy. And he goes into a ball and rolls. Roll out makes perfect sense. Remember Jigglypuff, the Pokemon that made its way into Smash Brothers because it was easy to copy off of Kirby? There's your inspiration. For years, ever since Sakurai mentioned how he took his baby and pretended it wasn't his baby to make Jigglypuff in Smash, people always compare the two, and it doesn't help. They're both pink balls, very similar. So because of that, I tried making just one. What if Kirby and Jigglypuff were one creature? So I'll put those to the side. Here's the abomination. Here's the creature. This is the epitome of, oh my. This is Kerpuff. Kerpuff is ball. Jigglypuff, what I realized so late into making this, has more details than Kirby. You're only removing details from Jigglypuff to make Kirby. All of the head, the little ears, the swirl of its hair, you remove that, it is ball with limbs. That is Kirby. So we're down to having a difference in eyes, because eye design is very different for Pokemon, so that's the only thing I really had to do besides, shifting the colors a bit. And that's Kerpuff. Kerpuff is the Void. Kerpuff is the Void Pokemon. These are living trash cans. Anything that goes in will come out. Somehow. Some way. No one has been able to study the inside of a Kerpuff. Kerpuff is quite literally just an enigma of a Pokemon, but because it's cute, no one questions it. Kerpuff is pure normal type, with the move Spit Up, Swallow, Bounce, Fisher. Spit Up and Swallow are kind of Kirby's, MO, so not gonna touch on that. Kirby flies by bouncing, puffing himself up, bounce, flying type works. And because of the meme of Kirby falling into, like a fisher in the ground, and he's so strong, having an OHKO move makes sense, I gave him Fisher. So how come I did a video about video game mascots without talking about Mario? Who doesn't know Mario, alright? You could say what you want about Pacman, Sonic, their relevance or whatever. Mario is forever Mr. Video Game, alright? He has engraved himself into video gaming. So I had to do him. Here's the issue. Mario's a dude, alright? I'm not making Pokemon trainers here. Mario's a dude. Turning him into a Pokemon presents an interesting challenge of he's so humanoid, and there's only so much I can take without really breaking that design of what he is. That being said, the Mario franchise is so big, but always has consistent ideas within it. So I moved my focus rather than on human to mushroom. My idea was kind of using like toads more as like a basis. as like a starting point, what if Mario was more mushroom than human? Because we have mushroom Pokemon, we have interesting creatures in Pokemon, so why not use one of those? Why not try making something more akin to the Toad, but with a clear Mario inspiration? It's now doing double reference, it's now doing double duty in that regard, and it does present more challenges. But it's not something I've done previously, so I was up for the task. My first thought, of course, is obviously Amoonguss, because he's funny, but there's no real limbs. So I go to another one, another similar one, Shiinotic. And there's limbs, yes, but the focus is on the mushroom. If there was only a mushroom Pokemon that had kind of the best of both worlds. Then I remembered about the boy Breloom. Breloom, a lot of people forget, is supposed to be mushroom, just probably the least mushroomy of the mushroom Pokemon, which works for me because that's what I was looking for. And with emphasis on legs, which of course that's Mario's thing, and obviously he has arms still, they're just little, there was enough here in my opinion that I could make a convincing enough Pokemon in reference to Mario. That being said, as I've mentioned previously, this is an order from best to worst in my opinion, so you're about to see an abomination. I'm sorry. Marloom. Marloom is Breloom shaved, just shaved. The mushroom has now shifted into a head-like thing. I also, this is just personal thing, all letters in Pokemon, instead of using the unknown to represent them, chef's kiss. Beautiful. I love this. Such a little attention to detail. Love it. But that's the only good point I got here. Obviously, he has this little mustache. It's an interesting shape because I took other Pokemon's mustaches and tried making it something like that with, obviously, Mario's in mind. The whole body is this blue to reference the overalls with those, yellow pins, dots. His hands and, I guess, toes haven't colored like his gloves and boots, respectively, because they now, it's closer to Mario. I also didn't touch Breloom's original skin because it is this skin-like color, and it felt weird giving him, a more proper skin color. It just felt gross, so we left that. I also rounded out the head a little. Obviously, the back is this interesting, weird, flat shape, but the front is still a big, round, bulbous face, because Mario's that big bulbous nose, so it just moved to the whole face. Now, the head itself, I wanted to kind of keep that idea of the mushroom head without taking away too much. That's why it has that weird back shape, because obviously that's the mushroom growing out. But the head itself has now become, again, that hat shape, because Mario's cap is iconic. He doesn't have any hair. I thought it was funny leaving the shading they originally put on Breloom and just pretend he just got shaved. There was hair. There is no hair now. He's shaved. Do with that what you will. I just think it was funnier that way. But that's Marloom. I really don't want to focus on it. I really don't want to focus on this. I'm just going to move on. Marloom is a very heroic Pokemon, only saving those in pink and feminine. Marloom also really loves human food, specifically stuff like spaghetti and pasta and anything that seemingly originates from Italy. So Marloom normal fire. I didn't want to make Marloom just normal. And Mario has shown many times he can use some various forms of pyrokinesis without the need of fire flower, so I think fire works fine for this. For moves, Stomp, Pyro Ball, Jump Kick, Cotton Spore. I will get Cotton Spore out of the way real quick. It is because I try to stick with that mushroom idea, so that is just another leftover of that. Stomp, this is what Mario does. Pyro Ball, it is a fireball attack, and he has been shown to obviously kick things, soccer reference too. Jump Kick, again, his jumping, kicking. Those are all iconic Mario moves, things he's always doing, so it makes sense that Marloom can do. And those are the 6 Pokemon I've designed for you today. Are they creatures? Yes. Are most of them abominations, and I really wish society did not have to see my work? Yes. But I'm not mad. I did make them. I had fun making them. And it kind of goes to show that I really want to, get better. Work more on my ideas and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to drag out this video any longer. This had one more than my usual batches of 5, so it's already a bit longer. Again, let me know if you want to see me cover any other franchises. Turn Pokemon into things not into Pokemon. I can do that too. I've just haven't for some reason. But with that being said, I'm gonna let you all go. Have a lovely day, everyone.